Welcome once again to How to Relate to Anyone. Here is Dr. Orv Owens.
Well, hello again. We've been on a long trip together, and I think probably today we're going to be able to touch on some things that are going to really help you a great deal in understanding what turns people on and what turns people off. The great confusion I feel, and I have found in talking with salespeople and managers of all different kinds of companies, is why do I sometimes have that ability to just relate well to people, and other times I don't seem to be in tune with them? We want to address that a little bit today because we're going to look at deference. Deference is the distance between you and who you really are and who your prospect thinks you are, or your employee thinks you are. So here's you, and the greater this goes up, the greater the deference. The greater the deference, the greater authority you have, the greater the believability. There's some people you meet and you're just impressed, and because you're impressed, you give them great deference. And no matter what they say, the belief level is very high. There's other people you meet and you question, in your mind at least, everything they say. And we would say their deference is low. Now, what creates deference? Well, there's several variables. One is when I first meet you, regardless of what your profession is, what your experience, what your knowledge, all the things about you that I don't know, you're going to have a certain amount of deference just by virtue of the fact that I'm meeting a new person. You know, I accept you as being a unique individual, one of a kind, nobody in the world just like you, and so I want to get to know you. And so you have a certain amount of deference. The only person who can destroy your deference, that distance between where I see you and where you really are, is you. And people do it all the time. They shoot themselves in the foot by saying something that turns people off, or uses a word that's not acceptable in a given conversation or situation, or pick your nose and eat it. You know, that's not a good thing, especially on camera. I just flaked out my associates here. Things that turn people off, things that cause people to back off, things that cause people to change their opinion of you is based upon the deference you maintain. So we want to discuss, first of all, how do you create good deference? Because that's vitally important. You have to know how to create it in the first place. And then secondly, how do you maintain that deference? First thing is, in creating deference, you have to be prepared for every presentation you make as a salesperson. You have to be prepared when you go into a meeting with your employees, whether it's one-on-one or with the group. You have to be prepared so you come across professionally, we would say, come across with the ability to say what you're going to say in a way that is meaningful to those who are listeners. So preparation is the beginning of creating deference. Being totally prepared. I would warn you, if you're not prepared in a sales situation to deal with a certain kind of client, postpone and reset the appointment and get ready, because you'll lose a sale. If I don't believe in you, I don't believe what you say. If I don't believe what you say, I'm not going to buy what you're selling. Simple as that. And I've heard salespeople make pitches that were so out of context with their prospect that the prospect couldn't even follow what they were saying, and so there was no sale. It was a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of a good prospect, actually. The person was interested in the product, lost interest because they couldn't understand what the salesperson was even talking about. So it's vitally important that you maintain good deference in a sales situation. And you do it, first of all, by being prepared. A presentation that sounds canned will cause a destruction of deference. You don't want to sound like you're saying something you memorized, even though you need to memorize what you're going to say. So I've got notes in front of me here, which wouldn't surprise you, and I've studied this material and taught it for a number of years. But as I'm talking to you on camera, I'm trying to just talk to you, as opposed to, this is what we're going to cover today. Now, number one, you get bored really quickly with that. So I'm just talking to you, and that's what you need to do in a sales situation. Just talk to people. Don't sound like you're making a pitch or giving a pitch, because pitches turn people off. They've heard too many pitches that just didn't come true. And so be genuine with people, and you do that by just talking to them. And we've talked in past programs about asking questions and being interested in the prospect's values and their family and their business and whatever else you're addressing in your presentation causes them to give you great deference, because you are a professional in your field and you are interested in getting to know what their field is all about. It creates some deference. As a manager of employees, where you're dealing with them every day, maintaining your deference is always based upon giving acceptance, talking from the employee's frame of reference rather than yours. Because you see, here's the thing that really affects or creates strong deference with employees, and that is when that employee feels like you understand them, you understand their fears, you understand their concerns, you understand why they're saying what they're saying. You understand. Too many managers and supervisors do not listen well to employees, and therefore they don't understand where that employee is coming from in the area of values and wants, needs, and desires. So you need to listen what people are saying, but be able to hear why they're saying it. This is true in sales, it's true in management, it's true in any personal relationships, including your spouse and your children and your best friends. So we want to have as high a deference as possible. We want this deference to go sky high, because the higher the deference, the higher the believability. The higher the believability, the greater credibility you have as a salesperson or as a manager. When I believe in you, then I believe what you say. When I believe what you say, I do what you tell me to do. With gusto, with a little bit of dedication. As a salesperson, if the belief level is that high, I tell people, this guy really knows what he's talking about. This lady can tell you exactly what you need to know, because she's really highly professional in her field. So referral business comes in even stronger because of the deference you created in your presentation. Deference is dependent upon what you project. We can look at a focus on knowledge. Knowledge is important, and to be able to project knowledge, you know what you're talking about, you're prepared. Your position or title or credentials offer deference. I treat an attorney as a lawyer. He or she is my attorney. And I say that with a little bit of respect. If I didn't respect, I'd go find another attorney. So, the deference is what caused me to hire this person in the first place. The acceptance level of you as a person is based upon how you project you. And so projecting a deference that gives a tremendous belief in you, acceptance of you as a professional in your field, as a leader, as a concerned manager, as a person who has knowledge to give and share and is willing to do that. All of those things cause people to stretch to meet your expectations because I believe in you, I believe what you say, I'm going to really strive to do what you want me to do and satisfy your desires for my behavior, my actions, my reactions, my productivity. The projection is always based upon how you're feeling. If you're having a bad day, probably best to get jacked up and do something to turn that around, because if you're having a bad day, everybody in the room is going to know it. And you can shoot down a whole lot of deference in one bad day. I tell management people, if you're having a bad day, take some sick leave. Get off alone someplace. Turn you into the person that I want to spend time with, as opposed to being the person that it's kind of not fun to be around today. A little bit ugly, isn't he? And we have those days, and it's going to have to deal with that. But you can lose a whole lot of this deference, a lot of this high respect that your employees have for you in just a short period of time by coming in with the wrong attitudes, wrong words, wrong temperament, pointed questions that are kind of put downs, criticisms as opposed to suggestions. All of those things can wipe out your deference relatively fast. And the problem is, once the deference is gone, it's really hard to build it back. Many companies have to literally move people from one position to another position because they've lost their deference. Making statements and promises that you don't keep or can't keep will also cause you to lose deference. This is really true in the sales field. Don't make claims and don't make promises that you can't come through with, because it'll shoot you down as far as deference, and it'll shoot you down as far as repeat and referral business. In fact, people will start warning people, don't let that person in the door because they do not tell the truth. Can't believe a word they say. You've heard that before. And when people can't believe a word you say, your deference is at zero. In fact, it might be flip-flopped, and now we're going down below the line, down into the fear motivations that cause everybody in your world to set up defense mechanisms and psychological blocks that we've talked about in other lessons. So, some of the things you can do that will just turn people off really rapidly is using non-acceptable words, calling people names, profanity, even some slang words turn people off. Be aware as a leader, as a salesperson, that every word either builds credibility for you as a leader or as a salesperson, or destroys your credibility, adds to your deference. And the greater the deference, the greater the credit, the greater the credibility. And that's what we're looking for, where people believe in you, and they believe in you, they buy what you sell, and they do what you tell them to do. It's real simple. When you lose that deference, it's very difficult to build it back. Bragging or self-promotion is another way to destroy your deference. I don't want you to tell me how great you are. I'd like to believe you're great, and I'd like to see greatness in your actions and your reactions, your ability to to lead, your ability to encourage, your ability to help me reach my personal goals. Yeah, those are important things and important to everybody. And as a result, the deference is greater when you can do these things. And that's what good leadership is really all about, whether it's in sales or management, is causing people to stretch to meet your expectations and believe greater than they thought possible. Failure to keep promises is something that has shot a lot of people down, because all of a sudden the trust level is gone, and trust is a vital part of deference. I have to trust you to believe in you. And this belief level in you as a professional, in whatever your field, doesn't really matter what it is, or even this deference based on a family relationship where your dad, your mom, your wife, your husband, whatever your role is, and the deference you have with your spouse and with your children creates tremendous strength in your family structure. Because I think my dad walks on water regularly as opposed to passing water regularly, and there's a difference there. But anyway, what we want is to believe Dad walks on water. He said, Mom's the greatest mom in the world. We do this on Mother's Day. Greatest mom in the world. All the flowers and cards and all the wonderful sayings on those cards. Should be doing those every day of the week and every month and so on. But we don't. So we take a day a year and point out how great Mom is. Have you ever noticed on Father's Day there's not a whole lot to do about it? There's not a lot of hullabaloo. Dear old Dad's just the old guy who goes to work and comes back with money in his pocket, and that's good enough. So to be consistent in your dealing with people creates deference. Consistency. I have to depend upon you to be the same yesterday, today, and forever. That happens to be a Bible verse. And when you are the same day in and day out every day, and it's a relationship that is building me, causing me to stretch, causing me to become more proficient in this business of ours that we're in, or causing me to become more proficient as a salesperson. That's good management and great leadership. And leadership is dependent upon great deference. Once the deference is gone, you are no longer a leader, you're just one of the guys. And it's the respect that is lost is not a respect for you as a person, but respect for you as a professional. So once again, it's real easy to become friends and friends with prospects, friends with employees. Go out for dinner with employees or any kind of function, a social function and so on. It's easy to let everything collapse down and you lose your deference. I know people in high management positions who will make an appearance at a corporate function and then they'll be gone. They don't spend a whole lot of time chit-chatting with people. They'll go around, shake hands, nice to see you, glad you could come, appreciate your work, all the appreciation stuff, and then they leave. Well, why did they leave? What happened to old John? John's long gone, had some other things he had to take care of today. He's a busy person, He's busy because he needs to maintain his deference. I've seen people who have created such high deference that it's shocking when people see them do something that's out of character. Years ago, I had a staff of 6 people, and I came out of the men's restroom, and one of the receptionists was walking down the hall, and she says, "Oh." I said, "Oh? What's the O?" She said, "I just never ever thought of you going to the bathroom." And I said, "Ooh, that sounds painful to me." That's almost too much deference. But then you think of people like Mother Teresa and the deference that she has in the world. Other people that we could go down the list of that would be your kind of people that you put on pedestals, and we don't visualize them doing the human stuff. We don't visualize them going out in the backyard and cooking some steaks. That's common stuff, and probably they do it, but we don't visualize. We think they work 24/7. Doctors have maintained their deference over the years by not socializing with patients. You can't turn your head and cough at an examination today and then sit at a dinner table with that same doctor that evening. It just doesn't seem to fit. Or for a lady who's having things checked out, and now that same doctor who checked her out from top to bottom earlier today, sitting across the dinner table, it's a little difficult. So doctors just don't invite you over for family dinners. They maintain deference. In fact, most doctors will have a receptionist put you in a room, a nurse or an assistant come in and get you prepared for the doctor, and then the doctor walks in the room like, here comes the Messiah walking in the room, and he's going to heal all your wounds. And then when he's done healing all your wounds or checking you out or whatever he or she is doing, they leave and you don't see them again. On the way out, you might see them in their little cubicle, but the door's shut, which means don't bother me. They don't want to carry on a social conversation with you because they know, as a doctor, the power they carry is determined by how great the deference. And I would tell you that anytime you destroy your deference, you've destroyed your ability to sell. Anytime you destroy your deference, employees are going to question whether you are really a leader or not. God, they have to believe that you're a leader, or you're not going to be a leader in their mind. And if you're not a leader in their mind, they're going to question everything you say, and you're going to have difficulty getting a point across without them questioning. And questions create questions in other subordinates, and now you have a whole thing going. As I mentioned a little earlier, the situation we had recently with a company I was doing consulting work with, and we had to transfer this manager who was a highly competent manager as far as knowledge, as far as skills, as far as experience, but poor experience in maintaining deference. And he became so close to his employees that they were abusing him. Come late to work, leave early, long coffee breaks. Boss won't care. Boss is just the boss, Oh, Joe? Joe's one of the guys, come on. And if Joe says, hey guys, you're gonna have to buckle up here now. We gotta get this job done, and we need to get this job done now. They'll say, oh, lay off, come on, not that big a deal. And when they start talking to you like that as a manager, you've lost your deference, and we're going to have to move somebody in that has deference, move you out. And all those employees will cry the blues because we're moving you out, because after all, you're one of their best friends now. Don't want to be best friends. You want to be their manager. You don't want to be best friends. You want to be their salesperson. You don't want to be their best friend. You want to be their doctor or whatever. It's called maintaining deference, maintaining the gap between you and your employee or your client in that person's mind. Do they set you on a pedestal? Do they believe you walk on water regularly? If they do, then they don't question your opinions. They don't question you and your directives. You'll find your closing ratio goes up in sales, productivity goes up in management because you are maintaining your deference.